Welcome to another episode of Jack's Tech Corner. This will be another video tutorial of Photoshop Elements 7. And I've also had a lot of people emailing me, don't worry, if you have Photoshop Elements 6 you're still okay. A lot of these tutorials are going to work just fine for you. There's only some slight variations in Photoshop Elements 7 and some new tools. So when you see those, maybe just skip over those ones. But most of these are going to work for you. Also, one other brief message is, a lot of people email me and ask me, Jack, how do you animate a picture in Photoshop Elements? Photoshop Elements is not an animator. You cannot animate pictures. And my suggestion is to anybody out there who wants to animate a picture, either look for animated GIFs, just do a Google search for animated GIFs, that's GIF, and you will find some pretty useful tools. Or you can search for something called Swish, something I used to use. And what Swish is, it's SWISH. It allows you to make flash animations. You just use multiple pictures. The tutorials are great, and it's very easy to use. Okay, now with that out of the way, I wanted to talk to Steve, I guess. Steve, and I can't pronounce the last name, but Steve is from South Carolina. And Steve's writing in to me, asking me, he talks about having a nephew that's playing in Little League Baseball. And what Steve wants to do is Steve wants to use Photoshop Elements 6 to actually create a baseball card. And I thought, well, this would be a pretty interesting tutorial. And I've never tried it before, so bear with me if I make a couple mistakes here. And we'll see how it goes. So Steve, this one's going out to you, and thanks for the question. The first thing I'm going to start off with is a picture of a sporting event. Here I have one of my stepdaughters actually playing softball. So what I'm going to do in the organizer is right click, and I'm going to open this up in the full editor. Alright, we have to start somewhere, so let's start in full editor. So here we are in the full editor. We're going to have the picture sitting here. There's this white border around here. I'm not quite sure what that's from. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to just chop that white border off. I don't really need that. So let's go ahead and get rid of that white border. There, now we have a picture of a softball player. Let's put that in the corner. Now what we want to do is we want to open up a new file. And I first of all had to find out what is the size of a normal playing card. Didn't have any laying around the house to measure. So I just jumped over to Google and did a slight search, and I found that it's 2.5 inches across the top by 3.5 inches down the side. So that's the size file we're going to create. That way we know when we go to print this thing, it's going to look okay. Go to New, and then Blank File. We'll call this Card. And we can change the pixels here to inches. Since we know what the inch size is, the width across the top is going to be 2.5. And then the height of the card is going to be 3.5. And that's in inches. Again, the background, I would suggest leave the background to be transparent. That way we don't have to worry too much about the background of the file, because we're going to do some overlaying on it anyway of these other pictures. As well as we're going to add some text to kind of spruce it up and make it look like a sporting card. Click OK. Here is our new card. It's ready to go. It's a blank layer, and all we got to do now is start adding things to this layer. So what do we want to do first? First I thought we would go ahead and add the ball player. Makes sense, that's the key person on the sports card. So let's go ahead and add the ball player. To do this, all we have to do is actually select the ball player. We're going to select all. We're on our move tool. We'll just grab it. And see, that didn't work out too well for us here. Let's deselect that. Let's just grab this and pull this on top of here. We don't have to select anything. Once again, here's the person we want on the card. Grab the picture, left click it, and just drag it on top and let it go. Now we can minimize this. We're pretty much done with that. Now we're on our card. We're going to center it up here, and then what we got to do is start filling it in a little bit. Right? We want to make the picture the size of the card. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to leave a little room here. Okay, let's try this. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now the reason I say we want to leave a little bit of room here, maybe we'll add our text around here instead of overlaying it on the picture. That won't take anything away from the picture at all. So we can call this layer right here. If you right click on this, you can go to rename layer. And let's call this player. I know I'm a stickler for uppercase and lowercase. This here's our background layer, so let's rename that background so we don't get too confused. We're going to rename that background, and there we go. That's the background layer. Now, with the background layer selected, maybe we want to make that a solid color. Maybe you have school colors. We can do school colors on there. So let's just pick out a solid color to use. Oh, maybe a red color might look good. All we need is a paint bucket tool, and we can just drop it around top of that. Now you can see we have a red background around the picture. Looks good so far. Now that we got that going, now we probably want to add some text. Now, to add text, we're going to add it down this side, and we can add some across the bottom. Again, you can do this any way you want to. It's really up to you. This is something you're going to have to play around with a little bit. Just like this again. We're going to pull this out just a little bit more. You got to be careful. If you pull it this way, see how you start distorting the person? If you pull it this way, you're going to make them kind of wider than what they are. Okay, we don't want to do that. Alright, now let's go ahead and start adding some text. To add text, we're going to use our text tool, but I want you to right click on it first. We're going to use vertical type tool. And the reason you're using vertical type is because we're going down this way. So let's go ahead and draw us a little text box here, down this way. And in here, hopefully we have enough room. We can start typing in there. Turn my cap locks key on. Softball, okay, because this is going to be a softball picture, so we're going to put softball in there. And with that, we'll click the check box. That looks pretty good. We can move this just by simply selecting this. We can move it over a little bit. We can also pull it down a little bit, make it bigger. If you come off the picture, that's okay. That's not going to print anyway. We're going to be fine there. Okay, softball. There. So now we have softball down that side, and on this side let's put the year on there. That will make it simple, but now you want to right click on your text tool again and make it a horizontal text. Now we'll come down here, we'll just come across here, and we're going to put on there the year 2008. Okay, very easy. If we select all this, we can actually go up here and we can actually go center text, and we can center it right in there just like that. You also have the option to change your text type. Maybe you want to make it look like something different. That looks a little nicer. Let's raise that up a little bit. That might be too big. I could tell it was too big right away because it was off the page. You couldn't see it anymore. So there you go. Softball 2008. If you want to dress it up a little bit more, you know, do one of my favorite things I like to do is beveling the text up. So let's apply a little bevel on there. That looks pretty nice. And let's do the same down here. Let's apply the same bevel just to kind of keep it looking the same. Got to select. Now we'll just go and click on the picture itself somewhere. And there you go. It looks pretty good. Softball 2008. There's our player in the middle. And like I said, you can do anything you want to with this. Once you're done, you can view it, fit the screen, and there you go. There's a softball card. So a pretty cool little project, a little bit of fun. You can do a lot more with it. You can definitely add to this anytime you feel like adding to it. And when I tell people that, what I tell you to do is save it. When you do a file, save it as this PSD file, Photoshop file. Then you go back in here, and that preserves your layers and all your masks and everything you want to work with. So, but if not, when you're ready to take it to the printer, save it as a JPEG, card JPEG. You just save it out. Always save it as the largest file, and there you go. It's saved as card JPEG. Well, I hope this helped you out there, Steve, and hope you have a good time with this, and best of luck to your nephew in all of his baseball endeavors. I hope he does very well. Until next time, folks, keep those cameras clicking, and keep those editors editing. I'll see you back here very soon. Remember to jump over to jackstechcorner.com and donate. And when you see the ads, click on them. See you next time. Take care from now. Bye-bye.